Good morning, everybody. My name is Jody. My husband, David John, and I have a small farm in the panhandle of North Idaho. These are our stories and adventures.
I'm going to do a little cameo for you guys. The video is about taking this stuff that you have too much of. What do you do with it? So, what Jody's going to show you is how to take this stuff, which is squishes,
Do the upside down ones, they're cooler.
and turn it into this stuff, which is an amazing relish. So, it's a process, and she's going to show you. But a great opportunity to take a bunch of this back to the... What do you do with these big buggers? Well, first of all, you can bake them with stuff in them. We call them a boat. But you can shred them up, make it into relish. So, back to Jody.
And today, as you see, we're in the kitchen, and I'm going to show you one of the ways we help use up the summer squash and zucchini. I interchange both the yellow summer squash and the green zucchini as the same vegetable. So today we're going to be making zesty zucchini relish, and it's really good. A friend of mine just loves it. So I'm going to go through going to make a double batch of a medium heat one and then a single batch of a hot one, because I have milds from last year and I'll still have zucchini, so I'll probably make some more mild. But let's go through the process of getting the zucchinis ready to get cooked into this relish. So I have gone through and done all the prep work on the zucchini and the onions and the peppers for this, but go through the simple process. So on your zucchinis, you want to grate them 12 hours or overnight, because the zucchinis and the summer squash, they're a high moisture content, and you want to get as much moisture out as possible. So I've soaked them, or I grated them, and they've soaked overnight. I've gone through and rinsed them and then squeezed out as much moisture as absolutely possible from them. The onions went through and just chopped them up. This is the leftover, so it's the amount that I need for the single batch. And the peppers are all chopped up and measured out and ready to go. So let's go back over to the stovetop and get all of this stuff put in there, and I'll tell you the measurements of everything, and if I remember, I'll put a copy of the recipe down below. So let's get on with getting this stuff going. And you should be able to look it up. I'm using the Ball Complete Book of Home Preservation and doing the zesty zucchini relish. In my book, it's on page 232. So this is going to be, you can't see, this over here is my double batch, but right here in this pot I've got 12 cups of the shredded, rinsed, drained zucchini. And now we're going to start adding all the ingredients. So it is 4 cups of chopped onions, and the recipe calls for 2 red bell peppers and 1 green bell pepper, but where I live, because I've got some that I can use from out in the garden, it's what I used in here, but the peppers here locally to get are, the red ones are $2 a piece. So I just used one red pepper, one big green bell pepper. I've added the banana peppers, and you do want to core these and cut the seeds out. I've used some of the jalapeno peppers in here just to get a balance of different types of peppers, sweet peppers, to replace the green bells that I didn't purchase from the store. And in this one, it is going to have the cayenne long peppers with seeds in and jalapenos. So like I said, this is going to be my hot relish. And the recipe does call for adding a chili pepper to it, so that's where the cayenne and the jalapenos come from. And then the next step is third of a cup pickling salt. And you don't want to use regular iodized salt. It's not really good in the canning process. Stuff has a tendency to get kind of cloudy and milky looking, so you definitely want to use the salt that's designed for canning process. And it is 2.5 cups white sugar, two and a half cups of distilled vinegar, one tablespoon nutmeg, and I did find going to the Whole Foods area that you can get your nutmeg. This takes nutmeg and turmeric. You can get it in bulk, and it's a lot cheaper than buying it in the containers. And then 1 tablespoon of your turmeric. And then 4 tablespoons prepared horseradish. Looked at several different brands of horseradish and chose the Culinary Tours just because the ingredients, horseradish was at the top of the list as opposed to somewhere buried in the middle, and this does not have any of the hydrogenated sugars in it, so it's a little healthier. So like I said, it's 4 tablespoons of the prepared horseradish. Two. 3. 4. the last of the jar. And that's all the ingredients. So give this guy a stir and get everything all mixed together and turn the element on. And then we'll take a look at the double batch that's already going and starting to simmer. So this one here's the double batch, and the turmeric really is what gives it that yellow color. But it's just coming up to a boil, and then I'll be turning the heat down on it. And then you basically just have to stir it, keep it cooking on a low boil till it cooks down and becomes about the consistency of store-bought relish, like you'd put on a hamburger or on your sandwich. And the onions and the peppers do get cooked down in this process. So get this guy back up to heat, and then I can turn it down. Okay, so it's been about 3 hours of these guys simmering, and the spicy one is ready to get put into the jars and into the canner. This one's almost there, so let's move the camera over and get our jars filled. And when we're filling the jars, we want to leave about a 1/2 inch head space. So let me get my little funnel. And this. And this is just to go through and make sure there's no air pockets and that we're down about where we need to be. That looks pretty good. And I found my lid remover tool. It's got a cool little magnet on the end so it sticks to the lids. Put it on till you just meet resistance and then a little bit of a turn. And don't forget to wipe the rims of your jars, which I forgot on that first one. So I'm going to go through, finish filling the 6 more jars that I need, and I'll meet you out at the canner to get these guys in. So my canner is hot and not boiling. Okay, so my canner is hot and ready to get these jars in. They will go in and process for 15 minutes on a boil, and then we'll take them out and see what they look like. And I did mark the hot ones with an H. Hopefully it doesn't wash off in the bath. So the medium one is going to go right in the middle. Place these guys down in there. They've got plenty of water over the top of them. It just has to come back up to a boil and process for 15 minutes, and got to go in and get the rest of the jars filled. So just like with the last batch, gonna go through and get these jars filled up and lids put on them. Okay, so got those 8 ready to go into the canner in about 10 minutes once the first batch is done. Got to get some more jars ready and lids to get heated up. Should make at least 8 more pints, so we'll be back with pulling that first batch out and putting the second batch in. Back with you in a minute. Okay, so it's been 15 minutes, ready to pull these guys out and get them on the table to start cooling. And the H did stay on, but isn't that pretty? Okay, we'll let that one come back up to a boil and let it process for 15 minutes and get the last batch in. So I'll be back with you guys in a couple minutes. Well, ran out of propane doing that last batch, so have it in on the stove, getting it up to a boil so I can process it. But one of the reasons we love zucchini summer squash is because it's like a chameleon. You can do so much with it and it takes on the flavors of whatever you're cooking it with. So I went through and in 5 jars, I just took the shredded zucchinis and thinly sliced jalapeno peppers and finished it off, packed it in the jar tight and finished it off with, mixed in with the shredded zucchinis. And basically it's going to be pickled jalapeno zucchini slaw for going on burgers or just to munch on. So I've got those guys done, and my first batch is almost cooled enough to seal. So get this stuff up to temp and I can get that one done, and then I have 10 more jars to do. So we'll be finishing this up inside. Okay, so we're back inside. This has been boiling for the 15 minutes it needed to process. So I'm going to pull this out, and I have 10 jars left. So instead of doing one big batch and then just processing 2 jars by themselves, because you can fit 8 pints into my canner, I'm going to do 2 batches of 5. So let's get these guys out, because that's what it should look like boiling. And yes, I am canning on a glass top range. It works just fine. And so when you're doing a smaller batch, you want to make sure you space the jars out evenly. And I'm just going to do the 5 around the outside ring. And put the lid on, and it didn't even really stop boiling. So I'll give it a couple minutes to come completely back up to a rolling boil and start the timer. Okay, so the last batch is done. And I'll be right back. I'm going to take this outside. Don't want to leave it on the glass top. A little bit of mess on it, but easy to clean up. Well, I wound up with 34 pints of zucchini in a couple different versions of it. I hope you found that entertaining, educational. Don't be afraid to try zucchini and different options. If you have something unusual that you use your summer squashes with, leave it down in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. And this is a labor-intensive project, because I started at 10 and here it is 3:30, and that's not including the chopping of all the vegetables and getting the zucchini ready. But you can do little projects to be productive while this is going on. I personally got 4 loads of laundry washed and folded, and all the dishes washed, and the kitchen kind of cleaned up. So once this stuff cools, I can make some zucchini banana bread. So I will see you on the next adventure. So bye for now.